This is the Fujifilm Xt5 and this is the Fujifilm Xe5, and despite having the same internals and very similar price points, they do have very different characteristics. Now what I want to show you today is not a stats comparison, but more of a practical everyday usage type comparison with things like handling, controls and other bits and bobs. And I'm going to presume that a lot of you already know what these have under the hood. But just to give you a quick recap, both these cameras have a 40 megapixel sensor, the X5 processor, as well as IBIS and other features, which makes these cameras very capable and a joy to use, producing some stunning images. Now I also want to point out that this video isn't meant to be a which one should you buy. I'm just trying to point out some of the differences in terms of usage and handling that I've noticed while using these over the past few years. Now I do have these to fulfill different needs. Now the first of these was the Xt5, which was bought not only for its capabilities but also purely, or the majority of the reasons, on looks alone. And while the Xe5 was also bought based on looks, it was also bought through practicality for things like travel. So to kick things off, both these cameras feel solid in the hand, with the Xt5 weighing in slightly heavier than the Xe5, which isn't that surprising when you have these cameras together. The Xt5 with its vintage design is noticeably bulkier, accommodating some very nice tactile dials on the top. The Xe5 opts for a more streamlined approach, which is perfect for travel, especially when paired with something like the Fuji 23mm 2.8. At this point, the one main feature that the Xe5 does lack is the inclusion of weather sealing, which the Xt5 does have. Now in saying that, I did own the Xt10 for a number of years, which didn't have any weather sealing and never really had any problems while using the camera in all sorts of types of weather. But I do know this may be a deal breaker for some. Now losing the dials of the Xt5, the Xe5's form factor is a lot smaller as you can imagine, and it's most evident in your hand with the feeling of little to grip onto, especially if you have larger hands, with only a slight improvement on the Xt5. Regardless of which one you do get, I would highly recommend getting at least a grip for the Xt5 and a grip and thumb grip for the Xe5. And also not just for the obvious reasons, but also to add a little bit of style to the camera. One trick I have found though to give you that little bit extra support, especially if you're using a rope strap on the camera, is to position it down the right hand side of and then placing your hand on top, which for me does give that extra bit of support. It really does help. Okay, so moving on to something that I've noticed while using both of these cameras, and that is the buttons, or more specifically, the size of them. On the Xe5, I find that the buttons on the back of this camera are rather small compared to the Xt5, and this is more evident with the buttons that are placed above the screen on the Xe5. There have been many times where I've pressed or tried to press the buttons above the screen and ended up pressing something on the screen, changing settings or focus at that point. Now this is only emphasised if you were to add a thumb grip onto the Xe5, and it becomes almost inevitable that you will press the screen from time to time by accident, so definitely extra care is needed at this point. Now depending on how you shoot, it is quite different between the Xe5 and the Xt5. If you're someone who does like to take video, this is definitely easier on the Xt5 with a simple flick of a switch, and the same goes with the drive options with things like high or low speed shooting, bracketing, double exposures, things like that. Now with the removal of these top dials on the Xe5, it has you going through menus to achieve the same result. While only taking a few extra seconds, it is enough to maybe miss a shot. So in this instance, I think if you are looking for something that has a bit more hybrid capacity, it's definitely the Xt5. Now the Fujifilm film simulations are probably what they're best known for at the moment, and pretty much feature on all Fujifilm cameras in some way, and the Xe5 and Xt5 are no different. Now hidden away in the menu on the Xt5, the Xe5 have opted for a more retro type of approach to switch between these. Now I must admit at first I wasn't a fan of this feature, but after getting the Xe5 I found it quite refreshing and almost instinctively use it all the time. Now positioned not quite on top of the camera itself, it is convenient compared to the menu hopping on the Xt5, but it can be said that this is actually one of its downsides. Now this is because located right next to the simulation dial is the eye sensor, so you find that when you're trying to switch the simulation over with say your thumb or finger, you will inevitably cover the eye sensor which switches off the screen, which prevents you from seeing what you've changed your simulation to unless you look at the top dial again or wait for it to come back on the screen, possibly missing another shot. So obviously one of the workarounds for this would be to have the screen on all the time, but then that just eats up power. So the manual, single and autofocus options are the same on both cameras, as well as any other Fujifilm camera you'll find. But the reason I wanted to bring these up is that on the Xt5 you get a switch on the front of the camera which lets you select either of these options using a small circular rotating switch with a nice solid click motion. Now when you compare that with the Xt5, the Xt5 has opted for a selector switch, or rather slider, and has decided to position this on the front leading edge of the camera itself, and because of this, unfortunately the slider is quite easy to adjust or move by accident, whether it's from your hand, a strap, or even just taking out your bag. You may find that you've changed your setting and it will take a few seconds for you to realise and change back. The back LCD screens are the same on both cameras, with a slight boost in resolution given to the Xt5. And unfortunately the Xt5 has only got a two-way articulating screen instead of the three-way, which includes a portrait flip out on the Xt5. Now in my opinion this really lets down the versatility, as at least for me the camera is geared towards street photography. So if you are trying to get some low down shots, you're going to have to get low down with the camera to make sure that you're framing what you're looking to get. On the flip side though, the camera screen does rotate fully over, making it a lot easier if you are into vlogging and selfies, which is only possible on the Xt5 via the Fuji app. Position of the viewfinders are probably one of the most notable difference in features from both cameras, and probably would boil down more to personal preference to which you would want to use. Now the opposite could be said from the view through these viewfinders. While the Xt5 does have a larger eyepiece compared to the Xt5, anyone wearing glasses like myself knows that when holding your eye up to the eyepiece, you won't be able to get your eye right up as your glasses prevent it. Now this means when looking through the viewfinder, you'll find that the outside or outer portions of the view are cut off, and you have to then adjust your eye round the camera or look in different directions to actually see what you've got in frame. Now I do know brands like the Nikon have solutions for this, for example being able to shrink the viewfinder down so that when you do look through, it's scaled properly for those who wear glasses to see the full screen. And this is something that I do hope Fuji do take on board for future models. A nice touch to the optics in the Xt5 though is the option of choosing a more retro style layout, which hark back to the film days of the early 80s and 90s, which gives you just the basic info in screen in an old style red LED type of way, featuring just the ISO, shutter speed and f-stop. Another deal breaker for some will be the memory card slots. As you can imagine, the Xt5 does come with two SD card slots, and these are found on the side of the camera underneath a compartment door, which is easily accessible. Well, in comparison, the Xt5 only has the one card slot, and this is also found in the same compartment as the battery, and in turn can be quite fiddly to try and access. Now this is something I've worked with before in previous Fujifilm cameras like the Xt10, and having only one card slot doesn't faze me very much. I know that for some of you will be a deal breaker. Now I know on the Xt5 space is limited, so they could have maybe included a dual card slot for a micro SD, but as for now, one card will have to do. Now as I've mentioned already, the battery for the Xt5 sits next to the memory card in the same compartment due to the lack of space, and because of this, the Xt5 uses the smaller battery, which is the MP126S. Now this battery still gives you a healthy amount of images from one battery charge, while the Xt5 of course does use the larger battery, the MPW235. Now something I've always said is that with any camera, regardless of the system, it's always worthwhile picking up a spare battery. Now if you are looking for spare batteries going forward, I would highly recommend the small rig versions due to having a USB-C type connection on the battery itself, so you can charge it separately from the camera. So that's this video done for today, and if you've made it this far, thank you so much for watching. Tell me what you thought of this video. Did it help you in any way? Did it highlight anything that you've never thought of before? Is there anything I've maybe missed with this comparison video today? If so, drop me a comment below, we can keep the discussion going. Also, any images that you've seen today You can see more of them over on my website. I'll drop the link in the description below as well. Are there any comparisons that you would like me to share in the future? Again, drop me a comment below with your suggestions and I can certainly look through those ideas. As usual though, all the gear that I use are linked in the descriptions below. Just click on those and you'll be able to check them out for yourself. And if you want to follow along and keep up to date with all the videos and goings on the channel, just hit that subscribe button. In the meantime, thank you again so much for watching and we'll see you in the next one.